Can architecture be a civilizing force in society? And if so, how?
Well, not only can it be a civilizing force in society, but I really think that it is paramount to the design community to make sure that it is. Ever since man left the cave in the fields, it really has been the built environment as the background for social interaction. So if architects and planners can't design places to help support civility amongst man, who can? And I think this happens at all different scales, macro scale versus individual building design. Since man started relying on the automobile, the amount of social interaction has greatly decreased. People spend more time cursing their fellow man on the highways or in crowded mass transit than they do interacting with them, walking around, seeing people in their daily lives. Be it porches on bungalows in Tenleytown, or the stoop fronts in Baltimore, or the atrium side porches in Charleston. All these things used to be, the fabric of American society, and people interacted. There was a semi-public or semi-private realm between the private house and the public street, and that allowed people to say hello, good morning, good evening, buongiorno, what have you. That's disappeared, and as much as we try and plan better communities now than in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's going to be a while, if ever, before people really give up their cars and we have that kind of community. So those architects who are planning communities to the greatest extent possible still need to, through mixed use, human scale, walkability, issues like that, create the ability for human interaction. And that's not to say that every suburban neighborhood needs front porches, because they're not going to do any good if people still stick to their cars and drive. But there certainly are things that can encourage social responsibility and interaction. That same thing, is even more important when you get down to individual building designs, in that, we are no longer that idyllic front porch community society, and so our public and civic buildings where people come and meet each other really should be geared towards interaction. And it's one thing for an architect to want to make a great statement and edge architecture and things that shock, but it's really more important that one creates comfortable human scale environments where that interaction can be. And be it a performing arts building where an appropriate scaled lobby, a ceremonial progression through various kinds of spaces really make for the entire event being your whole evening out, and your ability to interact with people during before the show or intermissions. That's one thing. The other thing is just that the general architectural vocabulary used for certain civic structures, libraries and schools, no longer, for the most part, speak of the importance of education and books and literature. And I don't care what personal statement an architect wants to make in terms of design. I think it's really important that these civic structures separate themselves out, that our students and our readers know that reading and learning is an important thing. It's an important part of society, and that these buildings designed for this purpose aren't shopping malls, aren't commercial venues, aren't somebody's statement house. They're civic structures, and buildings that are civic structures should look that way. Maybe old-fashioned, but I'm not really saying they necessarily have to be traditional designs. They just need to separate themselves out in an appropriate landmark sort of way. So, as you see, architecture is not going to solve all the problems with the lack of civility in today's society, but if it doesn't start with creating the proper environment for social interaction, something that architects can influence, then certainly the media and computer communications and sort of other stuff aren't going to do it.